Hello interwebs, welcome to Let's Fix Computers. I've got a bit of an adventurous one today that I'm having a look at against my better judgment. This is a Nintendo Switch, for those of you who don't know, and it's got a busted micro SD card reader. Now, the Switch's Achilles heel is that it doesn't have a lot of internal storage. So unless you're buying all of your games on physical cartridges, you'll have a bad time storing or keeping all your games installed. So if you tend to buy digital, a decent micro SD card is kind of a must-have for a Nintendo Switch. And on this one, the SD card reader is busted, which kind of sucks. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to try and replace that. However, it's a bit more complicated than that, as we'll see in a moment. So I'm going to start by taking the back cover off, and what we'll see is that the actual connector, I've got a replacement one here. So there's the micro SD card reader. It's on this flat flex board, and this connector here goes down onto the circuit board. And the issue is that the connector that this plugs into is damaged on the Switch itself, which is why this is not a simple job. This guy's actually quite easy to get to. However, the connector is damaged. So what we're going to have to try and do is I'm going to try and solder some jumper wires across that connector. Now, this is going to be some micro soldering, which I'm not very good at. So yeah, let's see how well this goes. Pokemon Sword. Ooh, okay, that is pretty darn small. Okay, let's go in for the super close-up. So as you can see, there's two pins in the bottom left which are damaged, and that is what is causing our issue with this. The absolute bottom left pin is missing altogether, and then the second pin is just slightly out of alignment. That one might be alright, but oh yeah, I mean, can I just tuck that guy in? I'm just going to quickly fiddle with this. It's impossible to show you what I'm doing while I'm doing it because I need a microscope for this, really. No, that guy's kind of... Yeah, that guy was just sitting in there by hopes and dreams. Yeah, that pin is gone. I've just touched that with the tweezers and it fell off. So yeah, so we're missing two pins. And as you can see, those go up to the top there. Have I got a torch handy? I do. So you can see where we've got... Is pin 2 ground? See, if you look along the row of pins at the top, the first one, that goes down to pin 1, obviously. Then the second one, that appears to connect to the ground plane. What I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly look up some resources that the client sent to me. The client sent to me some resources that actually include a pin out for this connector, because I think that second one might just be a ground pin. Yeah, that is confirmed. So we've got two missing pins, and one of them is a ground pin, which we don't need to worry about reconnecting, because there's plenty of other ground pins on there, and they'll all be connected together. So what I'm doing now is I'm just removing the screws for this silver shield, and I'm going to take this off, which will give me more room to get down in there. And I think we've only got to run a single jumper wire. So that actually makes me feel a lot more confident about being able to pull this repair off. Really, it should be quite an easy one for anyone experienced with microsoldering, but as I say, I would say I call myself practiced in mini soldering, but not microsoldering. Okay, does that just come off now? It does. Huh. Ah, interesting. There was extra thermal paste onto that back cover. I'll blob a bit more into there when I reassemble this. Right, however now I've got access to the battery here, so we can disconnect the battery and make sure we're powered down. It is safe to conduct this repair with the battery connected. However, if you have the ability to unplug the battery, then unplug the battery. Man, this is a proper SimCity motherboard in here. So many layers. So to do this repair, I've got 33 gauge magnet wire. This is enamel magnet wire, so it is very thin wire that has an enamel coating on it. So it is actually insulated, but it's just an enamel insulation, which means it's nice and thin and it doesn't have a plastic coating on it that will just melt into a blob when we try and solder it. So basically we've got to solder that guy onto there, and we're going to run him around the outside of the connector directly to the SD reader. So if that's plugging in like that, he's going to come like out the side and jump up onto the back of this guy. Probably onto pin 1, I think, which I shall verify in a moment. But the first thing I'm going to do is just simply get it on there. So let's chop off a ridiculously long amount. And we're going to solder it on to that via and test pad there. That's our best access. I've got the camera in really close, so I may jostle it now and then. Apologies in advance. Just put a little bit of solder on the end there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a heat-proof mat and just burn off the end of the enamel wire. Yep, that has worked. Right, that's what I want to do. Can I tin the wire? Or is it too small? Yes, I can tin the wire. There we go. Right, that's gone on. However, we've got a bit of a soldered tail off the back of it, so I'm just going to try and clean that up. There we go. Put some fresh thermal paste down there as well, just to try and get a bit more heat into the back of the case. Plug in the battery again. I probably didn't need to remove this back cover at all. I think that I managed to get onto that via with a great deal more ease than I was expecting. I think that is down to using the magnet wire instead of trying to use some really thin jumper wire. Because the magnet wire is stiff, it's much easier to hold it in place. I've been aware of the existence of magnet wire for a very long time, because obviously Lewis Rossman uses it all the time. And so I've watched him using it, but I've never actually tried it myself because I've never really had a repair that I felt capable of doing that required it. So this is a nice little opportunity to practice, and that's one of the main reasons why I accepted this job. When the client first approached me, I was like, no, I don't really want to do that. But then when I looked into it, I was like, actually, this would be an excellent opportunity to practice some magnet jumper wires. So, right, that's in place. So now how is this all going to fit in? That's going to go there. And then that's literally just going to jump around to there like that. Cool. All right, so I'm just going to double check that this is pin 1 that we're jumping off of here. Yes, that is confirmed. And the confirmation for that is that you may have noticed while we were working on it. Let me give you another close-up. You can see just there, there's an arrow there. Oh, you can't really see it in this light, but there's an arrow right there on the board which points to pin 1, and there's a corresponding arrow on the back of this guy, you can just see on the right of the connectors there's a little arrow pointing to it. So that's how we know that we're going from pin 1 to pin 1. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put that guy in there and connect him up. Okay, there we go. I've got that guy on and that's seated perfectly. So now we've got our little fly lead and we need to jump that out to there. So right, and I'll bend that out of the way. And I want to retin that pin. So I'm just going to dab a little bit of solder onto the bottom of my iron. And I'm just going to reflow that guy there. Right. Okay, I think that worked. Now I'm going to try and just burn the enamel off the end of the wire. There we go. I'd like a bit more solder on that just to make it look a bit more confident. Let's just see if I can touch that up. I may regret this immensely. Right, how good's that? That's all right. It's on. I think that might do the job. Okay, I'm going to visually inspect. Yeah, there's no short circuits there. That looks all right. Okay, so we've now jumped the pin that was broken. We're missing a ground, but that's fine. There's grounds everywhere else on this thing. Good. Okay, I'm confident. So now I'm going to put the back cover on. And there's two tests that we need to do. Firstly, we need to confirm that it can, see the SD card, which is a good start. And secondly, we need to confirm that the SD card is operating in high speed mode. Because when there is a poor connection to the SD card, it can get stuck in a low speed mode. I can't remember what there's a name for these modes, but I've forgotten what they're called. However, again, the client sent me lots of very helpful resources for this job. They had done pretty much all the research for this. They just didn't have the skill or equipment to do the jumper wire. So I need to look that up, and I need to confirm that this thing is actually reading the card at high speed. And I believe that the only actual way of testing that is you simply just try transferring something to or from the card, and you see if it goes slowly or not. Apparently, when you're in the low power state, or the low speed state, it's like really slow kind of thing. So theoretically, it should be very easy for us to tell if we've won or not. This was actually quite easy. I was expecting this to be more tricky. And yeah, this is a good practice run. I want to get into doing repairs like this, but I don't have the experience to do the research. But hey, if someone comes to me and says, look, I need a jumper wire that goes from here to here, I'll solder it for you. And yes, I did just drop one of these tiny black screws, so I'll have to find a new one of those. Right, so attempt 1 seems to be a fail. I've got an SD card in there and it's saying there's no SD card inserted into the device. However, what I've noticed is if I press and hold the SD card in... Oh, didn't do anything that time. Okay, hang on, so it's just peeking out there. Let's just try that again. Okay, so if I'm holding it in, it's saying, oh, restart the console. However, when I restart the console, it still doesn't recognize it. So I'm not sure. I don't think this is an issue with the jumper wire, but more that I had 2 SD readers available to me, and I picked the one that looks like it had the least wear and tear on it. But it looks like I picked poorly because I think that the reader itself is just worn out and horrid. Either way, it's not detecting the SD card, so we're not there. So I'm going to take this apart again, and I'm going to swap out to the other SD reader. This means I'm going to have to desolder my jumper wire and solder it onto the new one, but hopefully that'll be okay, and we'll try that out. What I don't want to have to do, I'm really hoping that I don't have to, let's see, power down again. Power options. What I really don't want to have to do is run jumper wires to every pin on the SD card reader. But I am prepared to do that if that's what it takes to try and fix this thing. So either way, I'm going to take this apart again and we're going to swap over the SD readers and see if this one is any better. Shit. Right, let's take that for a spin. I'm not going to put all the screws in this time round. Just going to put in enough just so the SD card reader is held in as much as possible. And I'll boot it with a card in. That still feels kind of mushy, but micro SD card slots always do, to be honest. I don't like the way that just disappears straight away. Right, with me holding the SD card in, I'm fervently holding the SD card in right now. It's detected. But as soon as I let go of the SD card, it's out again. So, I think that my jumper wire works just fine. However, I think both of these SD card readers are knackered. That's what I think is going on here. So I'm going to try a different SD card in it just in case this one is bad or something, although it works just fine in my laptop. And then I think we're going to order another SD reader so I can get a brand spanking new one that is just brand new, because the problem is where the client has been trying to make it work, there's probably been an awful lot of in and outing of this, a lot of SD cards in and out and stuff like that, which may have just damaged this one as well. And so it's possible that I just have 2 bad readers here. So I'm just going to try another SD card in it. But in all probability, I think I'm going to order another reader just so I can be absolutely certain, because I'd imagine these things are pretty darn cheap. Let's try that in it. Actually, I'm just going to go and make sure this thing is actually formatted first. Right, update. I bullied it a bit where I was trying different things. I was trying to measure the jumper wire to see if there was actually like voltage there or something like that. And after doing a bit of bullying and putting cards in and out and stuff like that, it started detecting the card correctly, and I was able to transfer a game to it. So this is Unravel 2. I transferred the game to the SD card, 2.7 gigabytes. It took about 5 minutes to transfer, which sounds about right for an SD card as well. apparently if it's stuck in slow mode, then it's like agonizingly slow kind of thing. And when I've loaded this game up off of the SD card, and it seems to load and run just fine. So yeah, touch wood, this seems to be okay now. So I'm going to close software, close, and just another demonstration. So once again, I'll just load this up. So load software, and so loading screen. This is fine. And the software is loaded. That seems just fine for running off of an SD card to me. I mean, I don't think it loads much faster coming off of a proper cartridge. So as far as I'm concerned, that's working. So now what I need to do is, let's see, close software. So now what I need to do is I need to reassemble the console because we're still running with the back cover off. And I need to put it all back together again and see if it still works. So I'm going to shut that down again. Sleep. Oh, wait, damn it, I wanted full shutdown. So the other thing I was going to do, I have a suspicion that the bit that was punking me was this connector here again. It seems that if you have it at just slightly the wrong angle, it sits, if this is the motherboard connector, if you have it slightly the wrong angle, it sits like that. Just slightly off kilter, not quite flat, and that seems to be what's causing the issue. And I have a suspicion that when I was holding the card in, it's pushing the card reader forward slightly, and I reckon it was pushing it just enough, just to press that connector down ever so slightly, or something like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to warm up my hot glue gun, and I'm just going to spot a little bit of hot glue on that. I'm just going to go in there. And that hot glue will be removable, so this can still be taken apart, but it will provide enough holding force to make sure that connector cannot come loose. That's the plan of action there. So I'm going to do that, put all the covers on, reassemble it, and then we'll do some more tests. So I'll be back in a sec when I've got the hot glue working. Cool, right. The SD card is still recognised. And just as a demonstration, because I didn't show this earlier on, I'm going to try moving another game. So let's try moving, let's move Luigi's Mansion. So move data. So 1 GB of data. This should take 1 or 2 minutes. So it's starting on 4, but there we go, that's coming down. So again, taking this long to transfer 1 GB of data is pretty bad, but also SD cards are pretty bad. A lot of people, like, if you actually try plugging in just a typical flash drive or just a not particularly exotic SD card, it's astonishing how bad the write speed on them actually is. So yeah, taking a couple of minutes to transfer a gigabyte of data, yeah, that's just how long these things take. But as far as I'm aware, this is not slow mode for the SD card reader. Hopefully I'm not wrong, and I'm sure someone will correct me, but this seems fairly reasonable for an SD card. Could be better, but I don't think this is the crippled speed, so to speak. I may have made a mistake picking Luigi's Mansion though, because this is almost certainly a game that they have a physical cartridge for, because it's only taking up 1 GB. So I'd imagine that's probably software updates or something like that. So I probably can't actually start this without having the cartridge. However, we've proven that the SD card is there and it is working as well. Ah, yeah, just as I suspected. That's fine. I'll start up Unravel 2 again, because that's what I was previously running. And again, we'll just make sure that this starts in a timely fashion. Loading, loading, loading. There we go. That's fine as far as I'm concerned. That seems totally fine. And close software. Good. We're done as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And once again, I had to remove and reinsert the card while I was putting the back cover on, so we know that that's legit as well, and it hasn't just I've actually removed and reinserted the card. So yeah, I think I was being punked by just the connector rocking slightly, or possibly just where I was trying to insert and remove the card while the console was on, and it definitely seems like it doesn't like you doing that. So yeah, in any case, we're done. I've got to put the screws back into it, but that's no big deal. Everything is actually reassembled, so that's fine. I'm calling that a success. So thank you for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next time. Hang around for the end card because all my support links are there. They'll also be down in the description down below, including the link to my Patreon and my Discord server. Big thanks to the Patreons for their support as well. There is movement on all of that coming up soon. I've been very quiet about that after announcing the Patreon. But yeah, change is coming. Touch wood anyway. There are leads. Bye. See you next video. Goodbye.